have to thank Apologia for turning me on to this video from Christian apologist channel Inspiring Philosophy. Let's take a look.
Stitch this with a fact so ridiculous you didn't believe it until you looked it up yourself.
There isn't a single eyewitness account of Jesus' life.
Okay, but this is not ridiculous or surprising to historians. First, a case can be made by arguing from scholars like Craig Keener or Richard Bauckham that the Gospels of Matthew and John were eyewitness accounts, and the Gospels of Mark and Luke were based on reports from eyewitnesses.
A case can be made? He didn't even have the confidence to say a good case can be made? Ishtar is the greatest film ever. A case can be made.
But let's just say they're wrong for the sake of argument.
And because they bloody likely are.
This still wouldn't be a problem for historians.
Nope, just everyone on the planet. Wait, that would include historians. Never mind.
Because we don't have any surviving eyewitness accounts for most historical people from that time period.
For most historical people from that time period. So we do have eyewitness accounts for some historical people from that time period? Interesting. I imagine if there were none, he wouldn't have said most. So apparently it can be done, and you don't even have to have some all-knowing, all-powerful being backing you up to get it done.
Take Hannibal of Carthage, who crossed the Alps with an army and elephants. We have no surviving eyewitness accounts of his life and deeds.
No, but we got some pretty good movies out of it, didn't we, huh?
We don't have any eyewitness accounts for the life of the high priest Caiaphas, or Joseph, John the Baptist.
Whoops, he said a case can be made for Matthew and John being eyewitness accounts. But now he says we have no eyewitness accounts of John the Baptist, who appears in both Matthew and John. Apparently a case can't be made, or can it still be made because you can literally make a case for anything?
Judas the Galilean, or Honi the circle drawer.
Who was so much more skilled than Bob the crooked line drawer. Honi's circles were nearly perfect, very impressive.
Of the Jews who lived during that time period, the one who we have the most information on is Jesus.
No, Jesus is merely the one you have the most unverified stories about, and copies of those stories. We really don't have any genuine information about Jesus, although I guess a case can be made.
So in putting context, this is not odd or ridiculous. Most ancient texts from that time period have simply been lost to history.
Oh, I beg to differ. I think in context, the fact that there are no eyewitness accounts of the life of Jesus is the oddest, most ridiculous thing ever in the entire history of the universe. And I'm not being even slightly hyperbolic. The context is that this event, the life of Jesus, with all its implications for the whole of humanity, everyone who has ever or will ever live, as asserted by Christianity, is the single most important event ever. And I mean ever. Think about that context. We have an immaterial, timeless, spaceless mind in a void of nothingness for all eternity, who at some point in non-time decided to create the entire universe and populate it with some very special sentient beings, some 13.7 billion years in. These beings will then need to be saved by the timeless, spaceless mind. From themselves, of course. And saved by the most allegedly loving, good act imaginable, which makes those sentient beings, all of humanity, the peripheral focal point of all 13.7 billion years of creation. We are, at least tangentially, the reason for all of it. But the pinnacle event of that 13.7 billion years and everything that went into it is this one single life and this one single act in that life, the human incarnation of the timeless, spaceless mind, his sacrifice on the cross, and his resurrection from the dead. Jesus isn't just the reason for the season, he's the reason for absolutely everything, ever. It is the context that makes the lack of a single eyewitness to this pinnacle event in 13.7 billion years even more odd and ridiculous. Because the broader context is that our salvation doesn't come to us simply because of that sacrifice on the cross. We are required to actually believe in that sacrifice and its power to save us. We have to actually believe that the sacrifice was made by the incarnate, timeless, spaceless mind. And we have to genuinely believe it. All of it. or very bad things will happen. I would bet you money that our host has some very nice video of his wedding. Video which he and his lovely wife cherish and likely paid someone a pretty penny to shoot and produce. His universally meaningless, inconsequential, cosmically irrelevant wedding is documented with ones and zeros, perhaps in 4K 10-bit 422 intra-frame video, maybe even in RAW and 8K if it happened recently. But the single most important event, life, and act within that life in the entire history of the universe, the one moment in 13.7 billion years for which the entire universe and everything in it was created, and in which we must believe to be saved, has not one single eyewitness account, let alone video documentation. Just like Vito, Michael, Sonny, and every other gangster on the planet, God leaves no witnesses.
I don't leave no witnesses.
You tell him, Larry. And let's be clear here. Solid, reliable, demonstrable evidence of this event in no way violates our freedom to choose. We know that because God allegedly gave some people the kind of solid, reliable, demonstrable evidence to which we should all have access in order to make a free, fair, and informed decision. Jesus supposedly appeared to the 12, even doubting Thomas. The Gospels say the 12 saw, heard, touched, smelled, and perhaps even tasted the risen Lord. He is said to have appeared to a crowd of 500 people. And who knows how many other people got to see him during the 40 days he was just hanging out here on earth after waking from his dirt nap. Jesus is not just another historical figure from the ancient world. According to Christianity, he is the entire point of all space-time in the universe for all eternity. He's the entire ballgame. The incarnation of the timeless, spaceless, eternal mind, whose life and actions are the sole reason for everything that has ever happened, and in whom we must believe, or else leaving us without even a single eyewitness is not just the ultimate example of odd and ridiculous, it's unconscionable given the consequences, especially for someone who allegedly loves us and wants more than anything our salvation. In that context, leaving us without a single eyewitness
I don't leave no witnesses.
is the stupidest idea in human history. Or at least a case can be made. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching. Hey gang, thanks again for watching. I know what you're thinking. This guy's a little old, looks like he wrote a losing ticket to the genetic lottery, and has a voice that makes Ed Burns sound like a baritone. But the writing is crackerjack, he delivers it well, and the pop-ups make me laugh. If that's the case, your appreciation is just a click away with a super thanks. Look at that! Now you can support the channel without ever leaving YouTube, and on a per video basis. With enough help, I can even get that plastic surgery you've always hoped I'd get. That's what I call win-win. To everyone who's already helped out, especially my wonderful patrons, thank you, 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 thank you. And I'll see you again in a few days with another great video.